Your body does not panic immediately when food disappears. It begins quietly adapting instead. At first, it simply uses what is already available inside your system. Nothing dramatic happens yet. But beneath the surface, a subtle shift in fuel priority begins to unfold. And this early transition quietly determines whether fasting feels smooth or extremely difficult later. You are still running on stored glucose, circulating through your bloodstream and liver reserves. This fuel system is designed for short gaps between meals. It is familiar territory. But the moment those reserves begin to drop, your metabolism starts preparing for something deeper. And most people never realize that this preparation phase shapes everything that follows next. What happens when your body realizes food is not coming back anytime soon? Around 12 to 16 hours, your body begins to exhaust its quick energy reserves. The liver glycogen that once buffered your energy starts becoming noticeably depleted. This is the turning point, because now your metabolism must choose between slowing down or switching fuel sources entirely. And surprisingly, a healthy system does not shut down. It becomes more resourceful instead. Insulin levels drop steadily, allowing stored fat to become more accessible for energy production. This is not instant fat-burning magic. It is permission being granted. Your body is no longer locked into constant storage mode, driven by frequent eating signals. And that permission is what opens the door to a completely different metabolic state. But why do some people feel energized here, while others feel weak and unstable? At this stage, your body begins increasing reliance on fatty acids for sustained energy output. But how smoothly this happens depends on your metabolic flexibility before the fast even began. Most people are not ready. They are conditioned to burn sugar constantly, making this transition feel uncomfortable or even stressful. And that discomfort is often misunderstood as something going wrong, instead of something changing. As fat breakdown increases, your liver starts converting fatty acids into molecules called ketones. These ketones act as an alternative fuel, especially for your brain. This is where clarity can rise. Not because fasting is magical, but because fuel delivery becomes more stable and predictable. And this shift can feel surprisingly calm compared to the highs and crashes of constant eating. But something deeper begins activating, beyond just energy, and it changes how your cells behave. As your body settles into this new energy rhythm, internal maintenance systems begin accelerating. One of the most discussed processes here is called autophagy, but it is often misunderstood. It is not a switch that suddenly turns on, but a process that gradually becomes more active. And its role is not just cleaning, but prioritizing what stays functional and what gets recycled. Damaged cellular components, inefficient proteins, and dysfunctional structures begin breaking down more actively. This allows your cells to operate more efficiently over time. It is not instant repair. It is more like reorganizing a cluttered system so it can function with less resistance. And this is where fasting begins to influence long-term metabolic efficiency rather than just short-term weight changes. But why do some people report sharper focus and even emotional clarity during this phase? As ketone levels rise, your brain begins receiving a more stable and consistent fuel supply. This reduces fluctuations that often come from frequent glucose spikes and drops. The effect feels different. Many people describe improved focus, reduced brain fog, and a calmer mental state. And while it may feel like a mental upgrade, it is actually a shift in fuel dynamics. Neurochemical changes also begin to occur, including increased production of factors that support brain function. These changes are subtle, but meaningful. They influence how alert and motivated you feel. And this is why fasting has historically been linked to clarity and introspection across cultures, not because it creates something new, but because it removes constant interference from unstable energy patterns. But the body is not just adapting mentally. It is also changing how it preserves muscle and energy. One common fear is that not eating will immediately lead to muscle loss and metabolic slowdown. But the reality is more nuanced than that assumption. Your body does not waste valuable tissue without reason. Instead, it begins adjusting hormone signals to preserve lean mass while using stored fat more efficiently. And this protective response is one of the most misunderstood aspects of fasting physiology. Hormones that support tissue preservation and repair can increase during fasting periods. This does not mean unlimited protection. It means temporary adaptation. Your body is trying to survive, not sabotage itself. And understanding this changes how you interpret the sensations and signals during longer fasts. But what happens when you push beyond one day and into the second day without food? Around 48 hours, your body is now fully operating in a fat-dominant metabolic state. Ketone production is significantly elevated compared to earlier stages. Energy feels different now. It becomes steadier, less reactive, and often less tied to external food timing. And this is where many people experience a surprising sense of stability despite not eating. At the same time, cravings often begin to decrease rather than intensify. This is not willpower, it is biology shifting. The signals that drive constant hunger begin to quiet when fuel access becomes more stable internally. And this creates a very different psychological experience compared to calorie restriction alone. But the most talked about effects appear at the 72-hour mark, and they are often misunderstood. By 72 hours, your body has fully committed to this alternative metabolic state. Fat is now the primary fuel source across multiple systems. But this is not a superpower. It is simply a different mode of operation that your body is capable of entering. And while some benefits continue increasing, they do not scale infinitely or universally across all individuals. Processes like cellular recycling, energy efficiency, and metabolic signaling are still active, but they vary significantly between people. Context matters here. Your health status, stress levels, sleep quality, and prior diet all influence what actually happens. And this is where many simplified fasting claims begin to fall apart under closer examination. So the real question is not just what happens, but whether this approach fits your body at all. A 72-hour fast is not a magic solution for fat loss or health transformation. It is a tool that shifts internal signals in a specific way. And like any tool, it works differently depending on how and when it is used. Some people benefit from it. Others may feel worse, especially if their system is already under stress or instability. The deeper takeaway is not about extreme fasting. It is about understanding metabolic signals. Consistency matters more. Daily patterns of eating, movement, and recovery shape your body far more than occasional extremes. And once those signals become more stable, fat loss and energy regulation often become easier to manage. If this helped you see fasting more clearly, stay with us for the next video. We will break down how daily eating patterns control whether your body stores or releases fat, because once you understand the signals, the confusion starts to disappear. This content is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Some parts of this script were supported by advanced artificial intelligence tools to structure and refine information. All ideas are grounded in real metabolic science. Because clarity matters more than hype,